So today on Power 95, we're going to be labor talking about Trump. We have as our very special guest someone who visited Bermuda recently, someone who came here and saw our Gambias, somebody who came here and saw our country, someone who came here and saw his relatives. Who am I talking about? As you know, which has been a recurring theme on this show, to talk about the origins of people in Bermuda, whether you're from England, whether you're from Azores, whether you're from the Caribbean islands. Over the last year, we have been graced with the presence of the ambassador from St. Kitts and Nevis, a Minister Duggins from St. Kitts and Nevis, and 2 weeks ago, we were graced with the presence of the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, who came here to a packed house in Devonshire Church and spoke about not just the connections between St. Kitts and Nevis, but as importantly, investment opportunities for Bermudians in Nevis and St. Kitts. So, as a follow-up, we have on the line the Honorable Premier, Finance Minister of Nevis, Mark Brantley. Good afternoon, Premier. How are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. It's been a long day here for me in Nevis, but I'm delighted, absolutely delighted to be on the air with you.
How you doing? It's a reverse role. Usually you're the radio host. I must say the Premier of Nevis actually has his own radio show every Wednesday. So it's a reverse role today.
Well, that happens sometimes. Yes, I've been doing a show for nearly 20 years now. Mm-hmm. It's on Wednesdays on Vaughan Radio here from 8 to 10 p.m. And it's become quite a staple here. So I'm grateful that you mentioned that. But in your intro, you said I was in your island of Bermuda. I just want to say to you and to the people of Bermuda that I was impressed beyond measure. I am genuinely impressed at what you've been able to accomplish there on such a small island. And I was inspired in terms of what's possible. I was particularly inspired because the people of St. Kitts and Nevis who traveled to Bermuda many over 100 years ago, that they contributed so significantly to that development. And I think I came back with that narrative for our people that Bermuda's development really shows us what we are capable of, what we can contribute to, and what we can make happen right here in our own Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right. Thank you for that, those opening remarks. So let me start right from the beginning. During your time here, your brief time here, a few weeks ago, which was, hosted under the patronage of the Honorary Consul of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mrs. Louise Tannick. What was your impression, not necessarily of the island, of the infrastructure, but what was your impression when you saw the people of Bermuda, particularly those of Caucasian and Division heritage?
Well, I confess, Chris, that reading about it is one thing, experiencing it is something entirely different. I had done a bit of research. In fact, I was assisted in that research with some articles that you yourself had written. Mm-hmm. And I knew, therefore, that there was a very long connection, a very long umbilical cord that connected St. Kitts and Nevis and Bermuda. But coming there, I was told to expect about 60 or so persons at the town hall in Devonshire. And when we got there, I thought there was another activity in the area simply because there were so many cars. And in fact, over 200 persons turned out. Some, I'm gathered, actually left because there was no room left in the inn. Mm-hmm. So it was very heartwarming to see so many people interested in St. Kitts and Nevis, interested in where their ancestors would have come from. And that really warmed my heart. And it really made it easier. When I met with your Premier, he told me that the idea of greater connectivity between your people there and your people here, that he thought that really was me pushing on an open door. That terminology stayed with me because the warmth that I experienced there, the sort of almost zeal with which people in Bermuda want to reconnect with St. Kitts and Nevis meant that, in fact, I was pushing on an open door. And I have taken this particular interview and this chat, I should say, because I want the people of Bermuda to know that my visit was not intended to be one-off, but we really do intend to fashion a set of policy prescriptions that would allow Bermudans to reconnect with St. Kitts and Nevis, to buy property, to invest here, to have holidays here, to have retirement here if they so desire. But this is definitely their ancestral home.
Okay. So I had to work that evening, so I didn't get a chance to come to the event, but I saw people, Bermudans, they sent around, people from anywhere, they sent around WhatsApp pictures. And when I looked, I was like, you're right. There's no room in the end. That church was full. That church hall was full. They should have actually, the volume of interest, that could actually been in the main church and still probably would have ran out of space. But that's indicative of the fact that Bermudians, if you go back over the last few decades, Bermudians, like everywhere else in any country, the British practice and still practice divide and conquer. So for centuries, for decades, they've denigrated the black people to the point to say, you don't want to be like those people down south. You don't want to be like those people down the islands. And those people on the islands actually are your family, right? And so black Bermudians in particular, those with Caribbean connections because they're black and white, have been brainwashed, I'm going to use that as a word, to reject the connection between themselves and any Caribbean island. So over the last decade, 2 decades, I'll say decade especially, there has been a resurgence of people being, breaking off that mental shackle and saying, those are our people, right? Well, we live in Bermuda, we know who we are, but those are our people, whichever island it may be. So with the help of the Honorary Consul, there has been a lot of activity to educate Bermudians about the true history of how their ancestors came to Bermuda, which for some was maybe 100 years ago, for others it might have been 50 years ago. But irrespective of how you came, that now has been, there's history is being told. So what you saw that day was a culmination of planting the seeds over the years, educating people. And what you would not have been told is when you walk outside of that church hall, if you look to the east, there will be a graveyard, because in Bermuda, just like many other Caribbean islands, the Anglican church is the only place where you could have graveyards, basically, right? Half of those graveyards are filled with people who came from St. Kitts, like the first generations that came here. Names such as Charles, names such as Webb, so on and so forth. Half of that particular graveyard is people from St. Kitts. So I say that to say that.
In fact, the church hall was, I saw the name Nisbet.
Exactly. He's Reverend.
That's definitely a Nevis name.
Right, Thomas Canon Nisbet. He literally died earlier this year. He was.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was the first black Bermudian canon, I want to say, of the Anglican Church.
Okay.
If you looked at him, you'll see St. Kitts and Nevis written all over it. So, like you said, that shows you the interconnectivity. So I say that we're transitioning. One of the things that I witnessed for myself years ago was that in St. Kitts and Nevis, you had a lot of persons of European heritage, American heritage, for lack of a better term, investing in that island, whether it be a small little Airbnb or coffee shop or whatsoever it may be. But what I didn't see was our own people of Kittian heritage, wherever they lived then, coming back to St. Kitts to invest. And I wrote a small article saying that Bermudians should look to invest in St. Kitts as buy a piece of property, build a house. And there were people here in Bermuda that chastised me. You're saying, how could you tell Bermudians to invest in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that's an abomination, left, right, and center. And I'm saying, hold on. So if I tell them go invest over in Canada, you wouldn't have a problem with me saying that, now, would you? But you have a problem with me telling Bermudians of St. Kitts and Nevis heritage to invest some money in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I say that to say that we often allow others to shape our destiny versus us shaping our destiny ourselves. So when you came here, I was like, it's catching on, right? I'm glad that you've come to Bermuda. So I'm going to take a little quick break, and then we come back and you could talk about some of the investment opportunities for Bermudians in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Are you Bermudian, aged 18 to 35, interested in a rewarding hands-on career in the trades? Register now for the Skilled Trades Apprenticeship Training Program. Train alongside industry experts in high-demand fields like masonry, plumbing, and carpentry. You'll gain hands-on experience, earn certifications, and be set for a successful career in the trades. Don't miss out. Visit dwd.bm to register by November 8th or call 297-7714 for more information.
Are you a lover of quality food? Join me, Shelley Thunder, at 5:30 p.m. every Wednesday on Ocean 89 for Foodie 411. We will keep you in the loop with the hottest restaurant menus, wine and cocktail pairings, and food-related products and events. We'll share delicious tips to satisfy your inner food critic, from gourmet dining to casual fare. Tune in every Wednesday at 5:30 on Ocean 89. Foodie 411 is brought to you by Butterfield and Vallis.
And we're back. Honorable Premier?
Yes, I'm here.
You, as they say in the House, you now have the floor to talk about investments in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, thank you again, and thank you for the opportunity. Just to go back to the comment you made, I think that I want to endorse that entirely, about trying to remake our economy and refashion our thinking to reflect who we are. For a long time, we in these islands of St. Kitts and Nevis have been told that we must constantly go out there to chase after this foreign investor. And no one ever told us that we had our own people in the diaspora who had done well, who were successful, who were accomplished, and that we had a very deep reservoir, not just of financial wealth, but also knowledge that we could tap into. And that realization has pushed me to the point where I welcome foreign investors. Absolutely, I do. But I do know that we have our own people who would have left and made significant contributions to building other countries who we could also call upon. And so that was my fundamental reason for coming to Bermuda and my fundamental message to Bermudans. When I look, Chris, at the size of Bermuda, 21 square miles, St. Kitts and Nevis is 5 times that size. We are 104 square miles. Bermuda has, I'm told, about 65,000 people. We in St. Kitts and Nevis only have 51,000 people. In fact, this is the first time, this census that was just completed is the first time since 1960 that our population is back at just over 50,000. Our population had, in fact, shrunk to as low as just about 35,000 people at one point. So clearly over the years, we've been exporting people all around the world, not just to Bermuda, but to Canada and the United States and the U.S. Virgin Islands and St. Martin, because things here were difficult. And I don't think we should run away from that. That was the reality. Our people left to go and find an easier life, a better way to support their families and to build a life for themselves. That is the story of immigrants the world over. But that St. Kitts and Nevis that people left 100 years ago, 50 years ago, is not the St. Kitts and Nevis of today. The St. Kitts and Nevis of today is a modern country, a growing country, a country that is ambitious, that is independent, and that is seeking to establish its way in the world. We are seeking to establish here a sustainable island state based on renewable energy, based on a growing economy, based on a good quality of life, safety and security for our people. And we now recognize And our population is now recognizing that part of that is the need to grow our population and also the need to invite our people who live in the diaspora, as I have put it, to come home. Now, Bermudans may find that funny. I was in Canada and I made my opening salvo to an audience. I said, it's time for you to come home, and people started to laugh. But I don't necessarily mean it in a literal sense, although, of course, we would welcome people moving here. But I mean to come home in the sense of reconnecting with your roots. We have so many people, Chris, in the diaspora, third and fourth generations, who absolutely know nothing about St. Kitts and Nevis, the land of their forefathers, the land of their ancestry. And so I think it's time for us to rekindle that, to reconnect us at home and us abroad, and to say that wherever we are ultimately one people, that the root, the foundation for so many in Bermuda is right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So when I look at your size, one of the first opportunities I think comes to mind is real estate. Real estate development, purchasing real estate, resort development, Airbnb, hotel development, villa development, because we have in this country so much available land compared to you. Based on your size and your population, you have averaged roughly 3,000 people per square mile in Bermuda. Mm-hmm. In Nevis, a bigger island, we have 375 people per square mile.
Mm-hmm. So basically, 10 times, our population density is 10 times that of Nevis. 10
times. So the reality is that of course, demand and supply dictates cost. And I was there, and in engaging with Bermudans while I was there, I was told that, the cost of land, the cost of property, the cost of homes there is very high. Compared to us, it is extraordinarily high. And so I look at it and say that, listen, I want Bermudans to understand that you can still purchase property in St. Kitts and Nevis for $3 a square foot, for $4 a square foot, that you can get prime real estate here, not by the quarter acre or the half acre, but by 10 acres and 15 acres, that there is a lot of land that's available here for development, for farming, for agriculture. There is tremendous scope here just in real estate.
Let me just pause there for 1 minute, Premier. Just for those who are trying to do the mental gymnastics, an acre of land is roughly 40,000 square feet. So if the Premier
40,560 to be precise.
Okay, 44,000 square feet. So right. If we times that by $3 or $4 per square foot, you're talking about an acre of land for roughly $150,000, I guess, depending on location, So yes. Basically what the Premier is saying, that you can buy land in St. Kitts for 1/10 of what it's going to cost you in Bermuda. 1/10, people. 10% of what the cost is in Bermuda. There's no land to buy in Bermuda anymore. But if you did buy it, it'll cost you $1 per $40 a square foot, basically.
So here you're absolutely correct that the land is available throughout Nevis. It tends to be a little bit more in St. Kitts, but generally, you can get very, very good quality land here in that price range, $3 to $5 a square foot. So as you say, anywhere from $120 to say $200,000 an acre, and an acre of land, as you know, is quite a significant portion of land for villa development, for a few townhouses or whatever it is that people may want to do. So the truth is that land is available here. The second thing I would like to say is that those who acquire their citizenship here can buy as much land as they like without let or without permission, because they're a citizen just like I am a citizen. I can go out if I find land and purchase land. So there's that option available to them. For those who are not citizens, they can still purchase land here, but they would have to acquire what is called an alien landholding license. Basically, they need the permission of cabinet to purchase that land. But those are processed as a routine matter, so it's not difficult even for people who are not citizens. And we are shortly to announce some policy prescriptions, Chris, which will allow those who are of St. Kitts and Nevis descent who want to come in to that process be simplified and waived in terms of the cost of that process for them. Because we want to make a genuine effort, a partnership, if you will, to say to our people in the diaspora, listen, it's time for you to come home. So land is immediately, I think, available. We have beautiful vistas all across St. Kitts and Nevis. The island of Nevis, for example, is almost perfectly conical in shape. So if you're on the one side of the island, you're looking at St. Kitts, you're looking at Bastyr Harbor at nights. If you're on the other side, you're looking at Antigua, Montserrat. It's really an incredible place to be and an incredible place to live. For those who have families and they say, well, I don't know, is it good? We have excellent schools. Our children go off to the best universities and colleges in the world. Our public school system is second to none. In terms of healthcare, we continue to upgrade our healthcare facilities, our equipment. We have an excellent primary care. In fact, we spend most of our budget on what we call preventative care, education to delay the onset of illness. But if you were to get ill, we can take care of you here. The only capabilities we don't currently have are if you have some specialist need, if you require brain surgery, for example, or if you have some catastrophic injuries, we may have to get you overseas for treatment to some trauma center. But other than that, our hospital facilities, our clinic facilities, we have OB/GYN facilities available in the villages. People don't even have to go to the hospital for those types of facilities. We have a number of doctors, specialist doctors available, not just on Nevis, but throughout the Federation. And because we're one country, only 2 miles apart, 5-minute ferry, people are going back and forth all day. So it is not unusual. I spoke to my buddy yesterday. He says he's going to get his checkups. He's going to the doctor in St. Kitts, and vice versa. So that's the island. St. Kitts and Nevis, I think, is unique for investment opportunities because we are the only twin island or multi-island state in the Caribbean where you can essentially live on one or stay on one and enjoy both. Because we're only 2 miles apart, we have developed this system of what they call the water taxi. And the water taxi is an ingenious tool that goes back and forth at that shortest point, basically taking a 5-minute journey across the Narrows. What that does is it essentially means that you can be staying on St. Kitts or living on St. Kitts, and you decide with your family or friends that you're going to go to Nevis, which has some excellent restaurants, and you're going to go dine at one of our fine restaurants in Nevis, and then you go back home, and vice versa. If you're living on Nevis, St. Kitts has more nightlife. You decide, I want to go to St. Kitts, visit, the casino, do some of what they do in St. Kitts. You can do that and come back over. So the truth is you can't do that with Antigua, Barbuda. You can't do that with Trinidad and Tobago. So we offer that where we truly say we're 2 islands, 1 paradise. We allow you to stay in one, live in one, but experience both. And that is something that we have seen develop. Our investment in the water taxi business has really borne fruit. They operate almost like Uber, where you call them and they're ready to go. They also have a schedule. And then, of course, you also have the regular ferry. That takes about half an hour because that goes from Bastyr to Charlestown, the capital of St. Kitts to the capital of Nevis. But in addition to that, Chris, we also have the car ferries. So you can drive on your car in Nevis, get off in St. Kitts, and vice versa. So these 2 islands are incredibly connected, and the infrastructure that has been developed makes it possible for you to have a much bigger market if you're investing than just the island of Nevis or just the island of St. Kitts. In terms of tourism, the product in Nevis is a high-end product. It's a costly, tend to cater to the higher end of the tourism market. You therefore have the ability to build here something that would appeal to that higher end of the market. Since COVID, we have seen more and more families who are asking for villa accommodation because they don't want necessarily to be in a hotel setting with lots of other people. So if you came here, you invested in a villa, that is something that can yield returns for you when you're not using it, or even if you don't intend to use it, you just intend to invest in it. For, say, $500,000 US, you can get a pretty amazing place built or purchased here on the island of Nevis. So there are tons of opportunities in terms of real estate. In terms of agriculture, Nevis is famous for its mangoes, which grow everywhere. We have over 40 varieties. In fact, I want to use this medium, Chris, to invite you and all of Bermuda to come for our annual mango festival.
Sorry, couldn't hear you. You said you're sending a plane for us to come to Nevis? Is that what you said?
A plane will come. I'm not sending it, but certainly one will come that you can take for sure. But we have over 40 varieties. We just celebrated this year our 10th anniversary. And it's a culinary festival that's based on mango. And it's immensely popular. This year, we had thousands of people participating.
So being as you brought up mango, what is the price in US dollar for one mango in Nevis?
So the price in US dollar for one mango, that's a good question. It depends, because when they're in season, people are giving them away.
Giving away, you heard that, Brother Don?
I hear that.
Giving away mangoes.
They're falling off the tree.
I mean, listen, mangoes, we have a saying down here, we say they're banging dog. That means that nobody wants them. They're so plentiful, right?
Stringy mangoes.
Mangoes here grow where we have over 40 varieties. So whatever variety you want or you prefer. My preference is one called an Emery Polly. That is famous. Everybody goes after it. But there are a number of different varieties that we have. The reality is that they grow wild, and also, of course, people have them in their yards, their backyards. A lot of people use it for, if you're landscaping your properties. It's very popular in Nevis to use fruit trees for landscaping. So in my yard, for example, I have maybe 6 mango trees. So when they're bearing, you just give it away because, there is so much available. For those who are selling them, I would say you may average 50 US cents for a mango.
50 US cents per mango. Bro.
Yeah, I don't think.
It's what, like $5 for one?
Yeah, $5 for a mango in Bermuda.
Oh well, that speaks for itself. Because here, maybe 50 US cents. If they're scarce, if they're going out of season or they're just coming into season, maybe 75 cents, $1, but definitely not more than that.
So, now you think about sending a plane load of mangoes, Rinky.
Well, so it actually, I'm happy that you said that, because one of the things that we have not done well is leverage some of these God-given gifts for advanced economic development. And you look around and you say, all right, we may not have oil, we may not have natural gas, we may not have gold and diamonds, but what do we have? And we have this abundance of mangoes, just as an example. That, as I say, they grow wild, they grow everywhere. And in the season, everybody has mangoes, and then they go out of season, and then they're none. So there's the opportunity now for value added. We're doing some of that now, where through our agro-processing unit and through some small agro-processors on the island, they're making jams and jellies and even hot sauce that is mango-flavored and things of that nature. But an investment in that area to take what is a coveted fruit, and I'm told that Bermudans love mango, what would be the opportunity, for example, for Bermudan supermarkets, Bermudan, restaurants to have mango puree, to make their mango daiquiris and mango coladas, all from Nevis. So these are some of the possibilities, I think, that exist in terms of looking at niche areas that we could have a competitive advantage and have a premium product that can be offered. So that's an area that I look at. The government is doing some. We're now pulping mangoes. We are storing it. We have the ability to supply local restaurants, etc., with mango pulp for their purposes. But our mango festival has been designed as a tourism event, a signature event that the island is now doing to attract those who are into the culinary arts and those who travel for culinary purposes to come and to not only experience mango in its natural form, but also to experience it in drinks and cocktails and desserts and food. So that's something that certainly I think Bermudans could get into, and certainly I think Bermuda itself could provide a useful market for agricultural produce from Nevis. Not just mangoes, I've emphasized that, but certainly other agricultural produce here as well. Given your size compared to us, we have literally thousands of acres of land available here for agriculture. So that's, again, another opportunity. You are in Bermuda a giant globally in terms of your financial services sector. You've done incredibly well, particularly your global brand for insurance and reinsurance. That's an area, again, that Nevis is trying to develop. That's an area where Bermuda has embedded expertise and a competitive advantage. And it gives us an opportunity to tap into your reservoir of knowledge on financial services and financial services matters. It would be fantastic, Chris, if firms in Bermuda would say, hey, why not set up a branch on Nevis or St. Kitts? Why not invest there and bring our expertise, but also, of course, help the local economy grow by attracting and developing that same type of industry in St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis has been in the financial services industry now. This year we celebrate 40 years. But we are nowhere near what Bermuda has achieved in terms of its global pedigree and its global standing in relation to that. So those are, I think, off the cuff some opportunities: hotel development, resort development, you name it. I think that there's Nevis and St. Kitts now are poised for development. I've said to people that we have, metaphorically, a sign that is out saying we are open for business, and we want persons to look at it. I'll say one last thing. When I look at Bermudans, and as I engage with many of our people in Bermuda, and I realize many are retiring, many are getting to an age where they're making that transition from work life to retirement. And I look at it and I said, could you imagine how much further your retirement dollars would go in a community where the cost of living is substantially lower than it is in Bermuda? Mm-hmm. So I don't know what your retirement benefits there are like, Chris, but assuming you are getting $5,000 a month in retirement income in Bermuda, that here would be a pretty significant sum of revenue, sum of income that will allow you to enjoy a particular quality of life, given the low cost here of housing, given the low cost here of transportation, given the low cost of electricity and water based on all that I was told when I was in Bermuda. So that $5,000 really goes much further here than it would at home. And so again, there are opportunities for persons who may want to retire here, who want to come back and reconnect and say, hey, why not, build a home in Keon in St. Kitts or your hometown of Sandy Point? Why not come over to Nevis and look at one of the developments here, or purchase a piece of virgin land and build something to your own satisfaction and specification? So again, there are huge possibilities, and I'm so privileged. I feel truly honored to have this opportunity to speak about these possibilities, because I think that after I'm out of this office and after I'm gone, I'm hopeful that the connections and the bridge that we're now building, that a lot of people will cross over that bridge, that people will come from Bermuda to come here, and also people will seek to leave here and visit Bermuda, see what Bermuda has done, see what the people of Bermuda have accomplished, and feel proud that our own people would have gone there to work in the dockyards, etc., to build and help build Bermuda, that our own people would have contributed in a significant way to what you now enjoy here. And so I feel proud, I feel honored, and I just think that we are sitting here on a golden opportunity. We're on the cusp, I feel, of something truly remarkable if we can reconnect our people in the way that I envisage.
Yes, indeed. So, on using the term golden, do you know what the previous name for St. Kitts and Nevis was, right?
The previous name?
previous name, well, one of the nicknames of St. Kitts and Nevis was what?
No, tell me, what was it?
At one point it was called Golden Rock, right?
Well, the airport in St. Kitts, I believe, what was that called?
Before the Robert Al Bradshaw was called Golden Rock Airport, right?
Yeah, I think it was. And there is an area in Nevis that is called Golden Rock.
Right. So I say that in the sense that what we have as persons of Caribbean descent, and that could mean any complexion. So let's not talk about race. We have to understand that persons came from Europe and saw opportunity, right? We were indoctrinated that there is no opportunity in the Caribbean. Leave the Caribbean, go to America, go to England, go to wherever else, right? Don't ever go back home. And yourself and others are explaining to Bermudians and persons, not just Bermuda, the diaspora, that there's golden opportunity to invest back home. Because I can tell you right now, right, because the population of Bermuda is so high, not so much that it's high, but the land space is so low, the average Bermudian, young Bermudian, is struggling to buy a house in Bermuda because the cost is so high. Not just the cost, but the bank interest rates. There are persons, my generation, who may have a house, may have inherited a house, but they can't buy another house. But they're looking to say, well, how can I invest my money? You can put your money in stocks, and if you had your money in stocks yesterday, you might have made some money. But stocks go up and down. Real estate is forever, right? So I say this as part of the conversation that we have to have as people is financial literacy, how to invest our money, right? Whether you want to invest it in stocks, whether you want to invest in real estate, whether you want to invest it in your children, is investing your money. Not stop being consumers where you're going on Amazon every day, buying something, right? Invest your money. So I want to ask a quick question for those that are interested. Do the banks in St. Kitts and Nevis give loans for mortgages to persons who don't reside in St. Kitts and Nevis?
The short answer is yes. The banks, of course, like banks everywhere, would be interested in knowing what security is being offered and how they'll be repaid. Mm-hmm. But there's no prohibition on banks here advancing loans to persons who do not live here or persons who are not from here.
Because I can guarantee you right now, people are going to start saying, hey, families are going to start WhatsApp me. Hey, I want to go down there and buy a piece of property. Again, they want to know the logistics. You mentioned earlier about this is just the open, this is, imagine that you and I are betting partners, right? So this is just the opening wicket per se. So this has to be an ongoing series of dialogue between yourself and others in Bermuda on the air to help educate people. See, because with our people, you can't just tell them something once and they all catch you on it. You got to repeat it over and over. You mentioned about the car ferry. I forgot to ask you when you were here. Do you know a lady named Sweet Pea?
Absolutely.
Is she still with us?
Yes, man. Sweet Pea is definitely around.
All right. Because I met her one time on the car ferry. As soon as she heard my accent, she said, "Oh, you're from Bermuda." I'm like, "How you know?" "Oh, I know Bermuda accent." I said, "Okay, cool." So, like I said, this station, this show is open. Every so often we have you on to talk about things, and we have another show that we can actually online and actually show visual stuff of what is going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I just want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I forgot to ask you, how is Mrs. Brantley and how did she enjoy her time in Bermuda?
And she loved it. She wants to come back. She asked when we were there if she could extend her time there because she really loves it. Mm-hmm. And so I suspect that I will be back in Bermuda, perhaps more of a holiday mode at some point. Mm-hmm. But certainly the first impressions were absolutely incredible. I continue to be impressed beyond measure in terms of what I've seen and what you guys have accomplished. So congratulations to you, to all of your listeners, to the Premier, and to all those who would have been, in government and in the private sector. I know that you had a Mr. Yearwood, I think his name was, from St. Kitts.
Freddie Yearwood.
I'm told was a significant, investor and property owner there. It shows, Chris, that really we have had a shared history. And for me, what I want now is for us to have a shared future.
Okay, my brother. Well, I want to thank you, Honorable Premier and Finance Minister. Otherwise than that, you got over the little sniffles you had last week?
I got over them, and you told me I had the Bermuda sniffles, so now I'm back in Nevis. I'm good.
Okay, you're good. Back in the heat. All right, well, that's it. I just want to thank you again. And the next time you come, well, I will recommend, when you think, I forgot to introduce my co-host isn't here, but the studio engineer, Mr. Don Bassett, is here. I forgot to introduce him earlier. Well, when Brother Don, when you think is a good time for the Premier to come here? Come back here.
June, July-ish.
Cup matches?
Cup matches, yeah.
He's a big cricket fan,
cup
right?
Next time will be better now.
Yeah, big cricket fan, Premier?
I'm absolutely a big cricket fan, and
Cup
I'm told
match.
that your cup match is like your carnival there.
Right. So I would encourage you and Mrs. Brantley to come back during our cup match, which is around the end of July or the first week in August. Depends on how.
Would it be impolitic for me to ask you which of the teams you support?
There's only one team. There's one team and there's the other people.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, we leave.
Thank you,
so
brother.
what I would say is the colors that you wear politically, there's the colors you should wear cup match wise.
All right, I hear you.
And I will say one other thing. When you come back, please bring some coconut dumpling and some mangoes.
Coconut dumpling?
Yeah, and mangoes.
All right, take care.
All right, so we look forward to our next innings.
All right, my brother. Have a good weekend.
All right. So there you have it, folks. The Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brantley, speaking about investment opportunities for those that want to diversify their portfolio, put something down for even if you don't build something, you could buy a piece of land. It never goes bad, right? The value could only go up. And like I said, the reality is most Bermudians are not going, of whatever complexion, are not going to be able to afford property in Bermuda because there's literally none left, right? So there's ways for you to invest. So I will close as I open. Today we are celebrating the life of Dimitri Edwards, our young Barclayite, the class of 2023. To the Edwards family, the Simons family, to the Barclay family, anyone else who's Goldhouse family, anyone else who was touched by his passing, which is the whole island, we want to say condolences once again. And we'll be back next week, and we have a very special guest next week because, that's how we roll around here. Brother Don.
Surprise.
And Miracle Child, enjoy your week off. And that's it. Love you, Bermuda.